Hi everyone, Dahi, Niamoy. I hope you all had a good day. Um, Today's story, we're gonna go with another children's story. This one comes from Thailand. Alright, so now, I'm not sure if you know, but a majority of myths, legends, and stories originally came from the idea of being able to explain things. That's how the Greek gods came about. That's how a lot of gods, legends, and myths come to be, is people are searching for an explanation behind stuff. The story we are going to read is about how the Bay of Bangkok that came to existence. Bangkok is one of the major cities in Thailand, and this story actually has kites in it. So, if you're a fan of kites, maybe you'll enjoy this story too. Okay, so once upon a time, a kite flew above yellow bamboo rooftops, past green jungles, and high into the bright blue skies of Thailand. During the day, it blocked the sun, and at night, it hid the moon. This kite was larger than an elephant, larger than a house. It was the largest kite in Thailand, and maybe the largest kite in the world. If you slid from the kite through the clouds, down the long yellow kite string, you would find yourself in the compound of Konkeha, the best kite maker in Thailand. He was an old man, but he always felt young with kites when kites were flying. During the third month, the mango monsoon blew like gusts from a giant bamboo fan. The largest kite in Thailand needed strong winds to keep it flying. Konkeha prayed to the gods to encourage the wind below. He had spent over a year making his gigantic masterpiece. Now he wanted all the children in his village to enjoy it. The idea for the kite came in the year of the snake, on a day when Kunkeha's compound hummed with the busy noises of children making kites. Sawdust puffed into the air like the pollen of flowers. Paintbrushes swished red, blues, and yellows over slender strips of bamboo. Kunkeha could not take a step without meeting a question. Is it true that kites can call the wind and bring rains to the rice field, Kunkeha? Chai, it is so. Kites can even tell what will happen in the future. Some wise men look at a flying kite and see in each movement a glimpse of things to come. Can kites do anything else, Konkeha? Chai, he answered. Sometimes we use them to carry explosive. Kites are also good soldiers. Kunkeha, can a man ride in a kite? Asked the child. Kunkeha paused and shook his head. My rule, I don't know. No one has tried it. I guess a man would need a kite as big as a house to ride it. Here's a beautiful picture of some of the kites in Kunkeha. Can you build a kite that big? They asked. Kunkeha laughed. I don't know, but I can try. Will you help me? The children shouted, Chai! And shrieked with delight. Run along now, children. You must rest now. Tomorrow we will watch the kites fight. The next day, Kunkeha took his little friends to watch the fights in front of the king's royal palace. Watch carefully, children. The kites are like boys and girls quarreling. The male kites are called chula. They are big and star-shaped. The female kites are called pakpao. They are small and dainty. Kite fighting is a team sport. The object is to keep your kite in the air and guide it to attack the enemy's kites. Both the Chula and Pakpao try to force each other out of the sky. After the kite fight, he took the children home and taught them how to make Chula and Pakpao kites. His compound was full of laughter, the laughter of happy children. "Where do I place my hooks on my Chula kite?" a little boy asked. "Put the hook on the bottom so they can catch the string of the pakpao," he said. The little girl said, "Konkeha, you want the Chula kites to win. Come help us with our pakpao kites." "Now, children," said Kunkeha, "it isn't who wins that matters. It is how well you observe the rules of the game. In kite fighting, there are 50 rules to remember. It takes a long time to learn them. Most of all, you must be as clever as a tiger to make your pakpao twist and dip. Each flutter of wind sends the pakpao in different directions. The pakpao is like a chicken chased by a dog. You never know which way the children will go." "Chula, kites are stronger," said the boys. "Chai," said Kunkeha. The little boys gathered around Kunkeha and said, "Kunkeha, why don't you make the Chula kite that is bigger than a house?" Let's see. I lost my spot. See. The little boys gathered around Kunkeha and said, "Kunkeha, why don't you make a Chula kite that is bigger than our house?" "We shall see. We shall see," he said. When the kite season was over, Kunkeha began to make an enormous Chula kite. It was so long he had to remove the end of his house. It was so tall he had to remove the ceiling from his house. To add the sides, he had to tear down the rest of the house. Poor Kunkeha did not have a house anymore, but he had a giant kite. It was the only kite in Thailand bigger than a house. Every day the children came to watch Kunkeha paint swirls, diamonds, and traditional designs on the kite. They agreed it was not only the largest, but also the most beautiful kite in Thailand. Let's see. So, there's Kunkeha helping the kids making their kites. That is Chula, and the diamond-shaped ones, which are the common type of kites you see, are the I forgot the name. The Pakpao kites. Let's see. I know they say there's 50 rules to kite fighting, but that just seems like a lot to me. It'd be really hard to remember all of the rules. I mean, between you and me, I have difficulties remembering my own name sometimes. Um, see, on the first day of the waning moon, the wind roared across the ocean and swept over the jungles. It was a strong and steady wind. Before the sun dawned, all the children gathered next to Kunkeha's kite. They greeted their friend by clasping both hands together, bowing their heads, and saying, "Sawaidi." "Good morning, Kunkeha. Please, may we fly the kite today?" Kunkeha smiled. "When a baby stands alone, we say he is sitting up the egg. Today, let us set up the egg, for our kite and let it fly for the first time. Kunkeha called 8 of the larger children and gave each a heavy rope that was attached to the kite. He pulled the first rope himself. After a brief moment, no longer than it takes a chinchok lizard to catch a fly, the kite stirred to life. It soared into the sky like a giant bird. Higher and higher it flew while the children cheered and shouted. Kunkeha tied the long guide rope to a huge boulder. He spent the rest of the day preparing a surprise for the children. It was a sliding pulley that allowed them to ride from the ground through the sky to the giant chula kite. The children's face brimmed with wonder as they floated in the kite with old Kunkeha. It was like being in a magical world. All around them were soft white clouds fleeced with silver. The only sound was the flap of a bird's wing or the whistle of the wind. At this great height, the wind only tickled the kite and made it sway like a swing. Far below, the earth seemed as neat as a chessboard with rice paddies and squares. The network of Klong canals looked like silver footpaths. All the houses looked the same, like little boxes on stilts. Each day during kite season, the children dashed home from school, then met Kunkeha in the clouds. He told them stories and gave them coconut candy. If he had not done these things, they still would have come because the greatest joy of all, was to observe the beauty of the world from the kite in the sky. Look at that. That is a really big kite with some beautiful designs on it. You see all the kids hanging onto the guide rope and they're being lifted off. See. One day, the clouds were dark and the skies were scowling. "A great storm is coming," said Kunkeha. "You may not go up to the kite today." As he spoke, a harsh wind almost blew the children off their feet. The kite began to sway, and its rock anchors moved slightly. "I'm afraid our kite may be damaged in this storm. Let's bring it down." Kunkeha and all the children pulled on the sturdy rope, but the force of the wind was so great that it lifted them from the ground. "Rarang! Rarang!" Be careful, children. We must let the kite go." The children obeyed, and just at that moment a powerful gust of wind carried the enormous kite high into the sky, so it quickly disappeared from view. "Kunkeha," sent the children home while he prayed for the gods to return his kite. What happened to the beautiful kite? The largest kite in Thailand? We shall never know for certain, but the people who live in the south say that long ago, a kite bigger than a house whirled through the sky, fell with a crash and tore open the earth and created the Bay of Bangkok. Now, Kunkeha did not have a house and he did not have a kite, but he had the honor of changing the geography of his country, and he had the love of all the children in the land. He considered himself a wealthy man. Here's an illustration of the Bay of Bangkok. So, what'd you think of that? That a man built a kite so big that it outgrew his house, and then he flew it. After a storm, it crashed, creating a giant crater that allowed the Bay of Bangkok to be formed. I can't help but wonder how many different legends or stories are out there like that. Maybe there's one about the Grand Canyon, or a story about the Bay of Napoli, which is in Italy. Who knows? But it definitely might be worth looking into. Now, if you are interested in the idea of kite fighting, there's a pretty strong history behind it. Um, and I'm sure every place has its own little caveat in regards to kites. There's actually a website out there called thailandbreeze.com that talks about kite flying in Thailand. Come on. So, you want to say hi?
Hi.
Scoot over just a little. Yeah, that tooth is coming pretty loose.
I did that all by myself.
So, let's see if we can look up a little bit more information. I'm pretty sure, like I said, there are rules, all sorts of different rules for kite fighting. Each one probably different depending on the region. Needless to say, it's very important that safety is taken into account and good sportsmanship. See, some of the things that you should look for when flying a kite is unfavorable wind conditions and safety concerns. For example, if the wind is really, really strong and blowing everywhere, you don't want to lose your kite, or you don't want it crashing into someone or something causing it to break. Um, let's see. The Manja Team International presents specific rules not stated in the general rules for kite fighting as competition rules during international kite fights. See, one of the rules, the the one who cuts their competitor is declared a winner. A fight's winner receives 1 point, while the loser gets 0 points. There is no such thing as a dead fight. The judges, a judge and a second judge oversees the event, designated as the organization head. Fights adjudication occurs by one or more judges chosen by the chief judge. The judge of the pools have the authority to stop the battle if necessary. Now, decisions and disagreements. If there is a disagreement with the decision or a fact, the judge will stop the fight. Fights can continue after participants and judges reach a broad consensus. The judge and the boxers on the field deal with all of the complaints. The competition is split into many different pools or groups. Before the start of the series, the number of combatants in each pool is announced. The number of players in the pool might vary depending on the amount of time that the organization has set aside for the kite fights. Let's see. For qualification, it is essential to know how players are qualified. The outcome of their last bout determines the qualifying of players with the same number of points. This is often referred to as the target average specific. If there is a tie, fresh direct elimination fights must be held to determine the victor and who will advance to the next round. See. Disqualifications can occur when players do not participate in all of the fights necessary within their pool or group. They are eliminated from the competition. Its past results are ignored and have no bearing on the overall pool size. Fight restarts. See, if both kites are cut simultaneously during a fight, the fighter must restart the bout. Only the judge can determine if the cutting is simultaneous or if one player cuts the other first. Competitions have the options of cutting their opponent's lines anywhere on it, from the kite's head to the nylon, and in any other type of location. So, To fully enjoy kite fighting events, it is good to know the rules. To summarize, the rules of kite fighting include observing safety, sportsmanship, and the wind rules, using only permitted equipment, abiding by the rules of the competition, and avoiding violations leading to penalization or disqualification. So, if you are interested in kite fighting, I'm sure there's a group somewhere nearby that you can find that will help you get familiar with the localized rules. So, yeah, I guess that's all I have for the night. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope to learn a little bit about kite fighting. I personally have never done it, but it does sound like it could be fun. Dehi, Pahak Jana, Pahak Loop. I love you. Hope you have a good day and that you heal quickly. Nia Moy, I miss you. It was nice to finally meet you. Everyone else, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the story.